All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kodesh, the bloodlines to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. With the hope of receiving mercy of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai is the name of his only begotten Son. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites according to the prophecies that are written in the scriptures. I want to make it known that RFID microchip is the MOTB. The serpent juice is the precursor to the MOTB. Yahweh Shai, whom dwelling ignorantly called Jesus, is about to make his return upon the earth to deliver his elect and to pour out judgment, as it is written. So I'm going to go straight into this lesson concerning the signs of the times. And this isn't going to be a long lesson. This is just something that occurred yesterday while I was sitting down watching football on TV, watching English Premier League, and felt the house shaking. So that's an earthquake. When the information started pour out, you started to find out that earthquake shook Cuba. And it was such a heavy earthquake that it was felt here in Jamaica and all the way in Florida. But these events are transpiring so rapidly of recent times that people not even considering the times that they're in. But they want to be from storms, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, all so-called natural disasters. They are taking place more rapidly. Today, as I reach home, I see one of the brothers posted in the chat that I want to say Saudi Arabia, right? Yes, Saudi Arabia. I witnessed them first snowfall. Just to show you the times that we're in, you have so much historic events transpiring right now. It's even hard to keep up. While they are in I want to say Spain, you had so much rainfall in 8 hours. Them say you get 1 year of rain in 8 hours. Just think about that, yo. 1 year of rain in 8 hours. But how much people consider these events as the signs of the end of this age? So this is 2 Ezra 9 verse 1. He said, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproar of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So let's take a look on what took place.
Magnitude earthquake shook Cuba yesterday. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake shook Cuba yesterday. Comes after weeks of hurricanes and blackouts that have left the island nation reeling. Rumbling was felt across the eastern stretch of the country, including bigger cities like Santiago de Cuba, more than 100 miles from the epicenter. Residents were left shaken. Many ran out into the street and some hid under doorways. There were no immediate reports of major damage or injuries. That quake came just 4 days after Hurricane Rafael ripped through western Cuba, knocking out power island-wide.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific.
Just days after the latest hurricane, this Havana home carries on. Power has been restored to parts of the Cuban capital, but many of the less fortunate survive only with what they can salvage.
I'm cooking with firewood. I look for wood in the mountains to cook and eat.
Cuba's national grid collapsed as Hurricane Rafael struck last week, taking hundreds of power lines and poles down in the country's west. It's become a familiar story to many. Power also failed during Hurricane Oscar 3 weeks earlier, and 2 weeks before that due to fuel shortages. Russia has pledged assistance to ease the crisis.
Russia is ready to provide brotherly Cuba with emergency assistance in connection with the current situation in the energy sector, including the supply of about 80,000 tons of diesel fuel for the amount approved in accordance with the president's instruction, $60 million.
Under a decades-long US embargo, Cuba's government struggles to buy fuel from other nations or to repair essential infrastructure. Decades worth of decaying systems stressed to their limit by the storms. Some Cubans have taken to the streets, fearing reprisal from the communist-run government.
The revolutionary government helps people if you ask for things without violence. But if you break public things, those people are obviously going to be punished.
Even as power returns, Cubans can't be
Alright, so let's jump straight back into the scripts. So this is Isaiah 29 verse 6, and it read, "Thou shalt be visited of Yahweh of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire." And this is what you're witnessing taking place around the world. Around the world, no one is exempt. No surprise, look from this here somewhere else struck by another storm. Because if I'm not mistaken, when I check my notification, I haven't really observed the videos yet, but let's observe it a little bit together. Let's take a good look.
Thank you for being with me today, meteorologist Brian Shields. There's a very high chance of the development of a tropical storm and potentially a hurricane in the Western Caribbean once we get about 5 to 8 days out. I want to show you that. That is the big concern. Another big concern, and something I've been watching nonstop, of course, that earthquake in Cuba. A lot of us felt that, so I want to touch upon the earthquake and the potential for more. We'll have that ahead as well in this video. So kind of two big stories that we're tracking together. Now, we're watching the areas of rain and storms. A lot building near the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, U.S., British Virgin Islands. Pick your spot. It has been so very active. St. Martin down through Guadalupe. We kind of swing around the horn, even back toward the ABC Islands. We've had some of that rain around. We've been seeing it a bit more scattered. St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, and Trinidad and Tobago. But very active across the Eastern Caribbean. And all of that moisture, as expected, is going to work its way toward the west and build further as it approaches Central America, as it approaches Jamaica, the Cayman Islands. We're going to see a lot of rain building, and then we're going to see that chance of development. Look at 4 of the major models. All of them are saying, hey, this area is going to develop into the next named system. The American model and the European model have this becoming a hurricane, and the European model is a little bit more conservative, while the American model is usually showing things becoming a hurricane that sometimes don't. Both of them, though, are showing this area becoming a hurricane. The Canadian model and the ICON German model are showing this area becoming at least a tropical storm. So a very high likelihood of development. Why is something going to develop this time of year? Well, first off, it's still a hurricane season. We still get some development this time of year, but we've already had 2 named systems in November. This would be a third. Typically, there's 1 named system on average each November, and a lot of times that happens out in the Atlantic and usually is not a bother. This time around, November is acting more like October, and here's why. The water temperatures, I showed you those in yesterday's video, are running above average, and we still have these big hot pockets right in the Caribbean. You see these deeper colors of red? That's very warm water, and that warm water extends kind of far down. So as a system just kind of sits over this, or rain sits over this, it just feeds up. There's a lot of upwelling, but more warm water just comes to the surface, and these things feed off of warm water. So this is not a good ingredient to have in place, and that's why as this area of rain moves to the central and western Caribbean, it could feed off of those hot pockets of water. So let me show you both of the models, the big ones, the American and the European model, and they're in pretty good agreement for the most part, which is a high likelihood of a named system, if not a hurricane. Short term, the rain and storms around. We've seen some around Aruba, for example, up toward Haiti, the Dominican Republic today. So isolated areas of flooding first in the northern and eastern Caribbean. Watching that. Then more of this.
So let's look on something that's historical, you know.
Finally, it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. A desert in Saudi Arabia receives snowfall and hail for the first time in history. Residents flee to shelters as an Indonesian volcano continues to spew ash. And robot dogs patrol Trump's Mar-a-Lago as US ramps up security at his residence. Finally, we're taking you back in history. On this day in 1960, John F. Kennedy was elected as the third. He was also the first residence of Donald Trump.
Kicked out of the country.
So, okay. I'm not really want to just click. This one, I click. I'll see if it come back up. You want to share the flooding now on the Sahara Desert, but for some reason, I want to click the Ella Brother video, but you know, through the spirit. But as the scripture say, uproar of the people in the world.
We begin this half hour in the Middle East. Israeli soccer fans attending a game in Amsterdam where they were violently attacked and threatened by a giant mob of Muslim immigrants armed with knives and clubs as they left the event. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has more from Jerusalem.
Israeli soccer fans in Amsterdam to watch a game were violently attacked and threatened by a giant mob of Muslim immigrants armed with knives and clubs as they left the event. The Israeli government is sending flights to rescue Israelis who are said to be hiding in their hotels after the brutal attacks. Israeli media and social media exploded with coverage and outrage about the attacks, which are being called a pogrom, an organized massacre of an ethnic group, like the Nazis carried out against the Jews in the 1930s. Thursday's attack happened just days before the 86th anniversary of Kristallnacht, when the Nazis launched multiple pogroms against Jews. Prime Minister Netanyahu says he views with utmost gravity the planned anti-Semitic attack against Israeli citizens and requested that security be increased for the Dutch Jewish community. He spoke with the Dutch Prime Minister, who posted on X, calling the attack completely unacceptable anti-Semitic attacks on Israelis. Some media reports say there were signs of tension even before the attack. The Times of Israel reports video on social media showed Israelis chanting against Arabs and Palestinians in the city and pulling down a Palestinian flag, apparently before the violence, and that pro-Palestinian anti-Israel activists claimed that Israeli fans were the first to harass and engage in violence. Newly appointed Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar.
So, let us just show you what's in the news and what's just transpiring around the world. So, going back to 2nd Ezra 9, starting back at 4, it said, Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world at a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times of the highest have plain beginnings in wonders and powerful works, and ending in effects and signs. And these are the signs played out here, if you can see it. So that I want to say, Kalalal, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Kodesh. Brothers, we're at the door, yo. Now's the time to push even harder. Shalom.